My mother-in-law fabricated infidelity photos and accused me of theft. When I became pregnant, she threatened to take my child. My mother-in-law concocted fake photos of me cheating and set me up for stealing. When I got pregnant, she sent a chilling note. Now I'll claim what's growing inside you. She's always believed I wasn't good enough for her son. At my birthday dinner, which I paid for, she labeled me a fortune hunter. She mocked my $2,500 engagement ring as extravagant, then swapped my professional wardrobe with cheap imitations from Walmart, using it as proof I was after her son's wealth. When her son stood by me, unwavering in his love, a cold glint appeared in her eyes. The following week, I noticed the same car tailing me to my workplace, the gym, even the supermarket. I told my husband I felt watched, but he brushed it off as my imagination running wild. Then, one evening, I found a manila envelope on my coffee table. Inside were private investigator reports detailing 3 months of my life. Every person I spoke to, every place I visited was spun to look shady. The PI claimed my male colleague buying me coffee meant an affair. My bank visits were twisted into evidence of secret accounts. She demanded I find these reports myself. The theft accusation came at Easter dinner. As I cleared the table, my mother-in-law, whom I'll call Margaret, shrieked that her grandmother's bracelet was gone. She made a theatrical show of searching before insisting we check everyone's bags. Of course, the bracelet was in mine. I saw my husband's face shift. Doubt flickering in his eyes broke something in me. Margaret cooed that she wouldn't press charges, saying, "We all make mistakes," while the family stared at me like I was scum. 2 weeks later, she invited me to lunch. I thought she might apologize. Instead, she slid a check across the table, $50,000. When I didn't bite, she wrote another for $75,000, then $100,000. "Every woman has a price," she said. "What's yours?" She boasted she'd done this before, implying I wasn't the first gold digger her son had dated. The final blow came at a family dinner in September. Margaret had been oddly kind for weeks, which should have been a red flag. She suggested we share photos from our recent family beach trip, connecting her phone to the TV. The first few images were innocent. Then, suddenly, there I was, kissing a stranger in restaurants and places I'd never been. The photos were clearly manipulated. Shadows didn't align, and metadata would have exposed the fakes. But no one checked, too stunned by the images on the big screen. Margaret gave a speech about protecting her son, claiming she'd already shown these photos to his coworkers and friends to shield him from his cheating wife. I tried to defend myself, but she'd prepped everyone perfectly. Walking to my car, with the family whispering behind me, was the longest walk of my life. On the drive home, my husband asked for space to think. That's when I knew her plan was working. She'd never stop, as ruining me was part of who she was. Sitting in my car, watching him enter our house without me, I decided to fight back. If she wanted to play with family secrets, I'd play too. I hired my own investigator to dig into her past. It took 2 months to uncover the jackpot. Her husband's nephew looked nothing like his supposed father, but shared Margaret's distinct nose and green eyes. The timeline was telling. She'd given birth to her first child 6 months early, yet the cousin was 6 months older. The affair that produced him happened while her husband was away on business. For months, I played the contrite daughter-in-law, apologizing for the misunderstood photos and thanking her for welcoming me back. Then, at Thanksgiving, I proposed a fun Christmas activity, DNA ancestry tests to trace the family lineage. I fed her ego, stressing the importance of family legacy. She couldn't say no without looking suspicious. On Christmas morning, I handed out elegantly wrapped 23andMe kits. Margaret tried to smile, but panic flickered in her eyes. The next 2 months were glorious. The family group chat buzzed with excitement as results rolled in, everyone sharing their heritage and finding distant cousins. Then the bomb dropped. The cousins' results showed a half-sibling match with my husband. My father-in-law stared at the TV, grappling with the truth. The family cross-checked the results. The math was undeniable. Margaret claimed the test was flawed, but science doesn't lie like she does. Watching her perfect family facade crumble as she scrambled to explain was pure poetic justice. Her husband moved out within a week, and divorce papers cited infidelity and deceit. Most of the family cut her off for her decades of hypocrisy. My husband apologized profusely for ever doubting me. Family gatherings moved to our home where she wasn't welcome. I thought I'd won. Then my birth control failed. A positive pregnancy test arrived at my office with roses and a card. "Congratulations, Grandma knows." An untraceable text followed. "You took my family." Now I'll take what grows inside you and raise it right. Blood is blood. She was playing a longer game than I'd imagined. My hands shook as I stared at the card. The office felt too exposed. My coworker Natalie noticed my distress, but I brushed her off, grabbed my purse and headed home, checking my mirrors and making random turns, paranoid that every car was hers. At home, I locked the doors and shut the curtains. My husband found me on the bathroom floor, still clutching the test. I showed him the text. His face cycled through emotions before landing on rage. He called his mother, but she didn't answer. Then his phone pinged with her message. "Congratulations on the baby. I can't wait to be part of every moment." That night, we changed the locks and installed a security system. My husband took leave from work to stay with me. We disrupted our routines, but she was always a step ahead. Baby gifts, cribs, high chairs, expensive items arrived without return addresses, impossible to trace. She hacked my work email, announcing my pregnancy to my entire office before I'd even seen a doctor. My boss called me in to discuss maternity leave while I was still reeling. She'd stolen my chance to share the news on my terms. At my first prenatal visit, I learned she'd called, pretending to be me, to access my medical records. It took an hour to verify my identity and secure my file with a password. My husband confronted her at her apartment. I watched from the car as she stood there, smiling, denying everything. She turned her guest room into a nursery, picked names, and bragged about consulting lawyers on grandparent rights. The family was split. Some thought we were overreacting to a doting grandmother. Others knew her destructive history. My father-in-law, still reeling from the divorce, offered support and uncovered her hidden credit cards and accounts, revealing resources we hadn't anticipated. Her tactics grew bolder. She showed up at my workplace with baby gifts, forcing me to accept them publicly or seem ungrateful. She joined every pregnancy forum I was in, commenting right after me. When I switched groups, she followed. The breaking point came in my second trimester. She showed up at my doctor's appointment, sitting beside me in the waiting room, smiling as she flipped through a parenting magazine. When my name was called, she stood too, claiming to the nurse she was there to support her daughter-in-law. I firmly told them she wasn't allowed in. She caused a scene, crying about being excluded from her grandchild's life, loud enough for the entire waiting room to hear. Security escorted her out as she wailed. That night we planned our counterattack. We documented everything: texts, gifts, appearances. We installed cameras, updated passwords, and put alerts on our credit. But she adapted. Gifts started arriving at my husband's workplace. She befriended our neighbors, fishing for details about me under the guise of concern. She even volunteered at the hospital where I planned to deliver, joining the auxiliary board. My sister-in-law, Natalie, became our ally, warning us that Margaret would try to isolate me. Sure enough, anonymous notes went to my friends, hinting at my mental instability during pregnancy. Some friends distanced themselves. My book club kept rescheduling when I could attend. My yoga instructor got a call questioning my safety exercising while pregnant. She was shrinking my world, leaving only her. Stress took a toll. My blood pressure spiked, sleep vanished, and every noise made me jump. My husband added motion sensors and more cameras, but tech couldn't stop her mind games. She was too clever to cross into clear harassment. Then, by chance, we uncovered her darkest plan. Daniel, her secret son and my husband's cousin, was appalled by her actions and reached out to help. He overheard her discussing nursing homes and power of attorney, plotting to declare me incompetent due to pregnancy-related mental issues. I immediately saw my job to document my mental stability, with my husband attending every visit to reinforce the record. Daniel kept visiting his mother, pretending to reconcile while gathering intel. He learned she'd been consulting a psychiatrist friend about postpartum psychosis, planning to use it against me post-birth. She'd researched courts friendly to grandparent rights cases. My husband's work suffered as she showed up during key meetings, forcing him to choose between his job and handling her. His boss grew frustrated. Natalie suggested we go on the offensive. She documented her mother's manipulations for years, including tactics used on my husband's ex-girlfriends, who'd been driven away similarly. In my 20th week, our mailbox overflowed with adoption agency pamphlets, implying I wasn't fit to mother. My husband installed a lockable mailbox, but the damage was done. Every pregnancy worry was amplified, making me question my ability to parent. Margaret charmed our elderly neighbors, using them to spy on our routines. She intercepted our packages, always knowing what we'd ordered. My work suffered. Tasks that took hours stretched into days as I obsessively checked security footage. Daniel found her emailing a family law attorney, building a paper trail to paint herself as a devoted grandmother and us as paranoid. At my baby shower, she sent an extravagant gift basket, outshining my friend's gifts, with a card signed with "Love, Grandma." My husband's sleep deteriorated, dark circles marking his eyes as he monitored cameras all night. Our marriage strained, date nights became strategy sessions, intimacy interrupted by security alerts. Natalie warned that holidays were Margaret's escalation period. As Thanksgiving neared, neutral family members urged reconciliation for the baby. I joined a support group for women with toxic in-laws, learning legal protections and hearing chilling stories of grandmothers winning partial custody by portraying mothers as unstable. Margaret joined grandparents' rights groups, posing as a victimized grandmother, gathering allies willing to testify for her. My stress manifested as constant headaches and nightmares of her stealing my baby. My doctor prescribed pregnancy-safe anxiety meds, which I feared she'd use against me. She'd infiltrated the hospital's maternity ward, befriending nurses with stories of her cruel daughter-in-law. Financial strain grew as we poured money into security instead of our child's future. Daniel discovered Margaret was taking childcare courses and working at a daycare to bolster her credentials as a caregiver, preparing for a custody fight. Every baby kick reminded me what she wanted to take. Shopping for baby clothes became a covert mission, avoiding stores she might predict. At work, weekly flower deliveries signed "Your loving mother-in-law" forced me to act grateful or seem paranoid. In my 7th month, a woman claiming to be a social worker appeared at our door, citing a tip about my at-risk pregnancy and mental distress. My husband raced home, and the social worker found nothing amiss, but the visit went on record, setting a precedent for future complaints. Natalie traced the anonymous tip, but it was unprovable. Margaret's next move was visiting my husband, showing him the nursery she'd built and a car seat for emergencies, playing the victim. Sleep deprivation worsened. We took shifts watching cameras. The nursery remained unfinished, security trumping decor. Her gifts piled up in our garage, expensive clothes and toys, each a claim on our child. At 36 weeks, we learned she'd become a beloved figure in the hospital's maternity ward, delivering treats and gaining staff sympathy. We considered switching hospitals, but the logistics were daunting. She sent a paid photographer for newborn photos and a high-end stroller, each gift reinforcing her loving grandma narrative. False labor at 37 weeks heightened our fear. She knew our hospital plans. Our marriage counselor helped craft a birth plan with security protocols, code words, backups, and contingencies. Daniel reported she'd studied grandparent rights cases, learning what courts valued. One night, our nursery camera caught a package on the windowsill, a hand-knitted blanket with a note, "Made with love for my grandchild. Soon." The word "soon" kept me awake. As my due date passed, her social media posts about becoming a grandmother intensified, manipulating unaware friends. My husband took full leave, refusing to leave me alone. A nurse at our chosen hospital who'd seen Margaret's tactics elsewhere became our ally, validating our fears. Labor started at dawn, 3 days late. We used code phrases, took a winding route to the hospital, and registered under aliases. Security was prepped, but I couldn't relax, scanning for her between contractions. Our daughter was born at 11:47 p.m., healthy despite the stress. Holding her, I felt overwhelming love and protectiveness, but even then I braced for Margaret's intrusion. The nurse ally ensured our privacy, checking visitors and keeping our names off public boards. But on the second night, security caught Margaret circling the hospital parking garage. They warned her about trespassing, but we knew she'd adapt. The next morning, nurses found a gift basket outside our room, pricey baby clothes with a card proclaiming her love. She'd found us despite our precautions. We left the hospital early, using a side exit while security distracted at the main entrance. At home, we found flowers and a package from a luxury baby store placed at 3 a.m., evading our censors. Daniel revealed she'd met with a family court mediator, presenting photos of her nursery and gift receipts to build her case. We compiled a dossier, texts, footage, witness statements, to counter her. The first week home was tense. Every knock spiked my heart rate. Margaret was seen near our pediatrician's office, so we switched to one 3 towns away using privacy protocols. The staff thought we were overreacting. Her psychological warfare continued. chipping away at our peace as we fought to protect our daughter from her relentless schemes. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.